I believe in going to the people. I believe in explaining to the people the facts and asking the people to make their voice heard. You want to make government work? You want to change government? Only the people in this room can do it. And that's what today is all about. Let me give you some facts. We call it the People's First campaign. I was elected for 3 goals. Number 1, to get the economy in the state running. Number 2, to clean up Albany, ethics reform, give you a government that you can trust after all the years of scandal, and return New York to the legacy of social progress. Phase 1 is completed, and we're off to a good start because of the passage of the state budget. The state budget was an honest budget, no gimmicks. It was a balanced budget. It was an on-time budget, which is an extraordinary accomplishment in Albany. It closed a $10 billion deficit without raising taxes or borrowing. It ended what was called automatic inflators in the budget. The reason the state budget was always out of kilter, the state budget had built in 14% inflation year after year. And when you have built into a budget that the programs are going to go up 14%, you're never going to catch up. And that's what was happening with the state. We introduced performance funding. It's not just how much money you spend, it's what you're getting for the money. And we're bringing performance funding to government, and we started to focus on rebuilding the economy all across this state. There's more to be done. Reforming Albany, phase 2. Number 1, focusing on the first goal of getting the economy running. We started by getting taxes under control with the state budget. State budget focused on state taxes, state costs, obviously. And we closed that budget with no new state taxes. But now we must turn to local governments, town, villages, school districts all across the state. New York's hidden tax, and a tax that I think is especially dangerous for the state, is the property taxes. It is the highest in the nation. When you look at the taxes paid by counties in the state versus counties across the nation, the top 15 highest tax counties are all in the state of New York. Nassau County, as the county executive mentioned, number 1 in absolute dollars in the nation. Highest tax county in the nation. Westchester 2nd, Rockland is 5th. Nassau, the highest tax, 361% higher than the median. Suffolk, 281% higher than the median. All the counties in the state of New York are in the top 20% in the country, believe it or not. Median U.S. property tax bill, 1,900. New York, 3,700, 96% higher. When you look at the rate of increase over a 5-year period, average annual increase, rate of inflation 2.9, that's the rate that is the index of what most things are going up, 2.9%. County taxes have been going up 5.7. Look at the end of the chart. School tax increased 7.5% per year. That is per year. Fire district, 7.6. Village taxes, 6.2. You can't afford these level of increases anymore. That's what's driving the tax burden through the roof. That's what's chasing New Yorkers from their home. This is what has to stop. New York has no economic future as the tax capital of the nation. Period. There was a public opinion poll conducted just last week. Listen to this. 36% of those 30 years old or under say that there is no future in the state and they plan to move within the next 5 years because New York is unaffordable. 36% of our young people. 26% of all people say they plan to leave the state in the next 5 years because it's too expensive. Just think of the consequence of those numbers. And it's not just a residential tax. People think of the property tax as a residential tax. It's also the highest business tax. And when you wonder why businesses are leaving the state, or businesses say New York is inhospitable, businesses, corporate income tax in New York State, businesses pay $3 billion. They're paying $16 billion in property taxes. So they're paying more than 5 times in property taxes what they're paying in corporate income tax. What's the answer? I believe it's very simple. I believe that the state legislature needs to pass a cap, a property tax cap, which would cap the growth of the taxes at no more than 2% per year increase. So your property taxes couldn't go up 2%, more than 2%, unless the tax cap was overridden by 60% vote of the local body, whatever that is. In other words, there's a school district vote, let's say. There would be a 2% cap on the school district, where the taxes couldn't go up more than 2% unless the vote was higher than 60%. Well, why don't you make the vote 50%? And if it's over 50, no, I want it over 60. Why? Because for once, I want the deck stacked in the favor of the taxpayers. And this is one of the very if you want to exceed the cap and you want an increase of more than 2%, then you should get more than a 60% vote or 60% of the local legislative body. This idea is not new. Massachusetts did this with great success. Massachusetts enacted a tax cap in 1980. It was the second most taxed state in the nation. Remember, Massachusetts used to be called Tax-achusetts? Second highest tax state in the nation. Today, Massachusetts is 23rd in the nation. We need fiscal discipline, and we also need a new attitude. It's not just how much money government spends. It's what government is doing with that money. Only in government is there this mentality that the more we spend, the better. Life doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way in your home. It's not you just don't spend more money, let me pay more money for a service or for a product. That doesn't mean you're necessarily getting better. You shop. You want to know the results. You want to know the performance. You want an economy. You want an efficiency. Only government thinks, let me spend more money and that'll be better. It's not necessarily better. And government never looks at the performance and never looks at the results. That has to change. Education is important. We spend more money in education than any state in the nation. More money per pupil than any state in the nation. We're number 34 in terms of results. But we keep spending more money, more money, more money. Well, the performance is no good. Spend more money. No, that's not the answer. Find out why you're not performing. Find out why you're not achieving. Don't just spend more money for the sake of spending more money. To go back to Massachusetts comparison again, New York spends 28% more per student on education. 28% more. New York is 40th in graduation rates. Massachusetts is 14th. Massachusetts is first in test scores, and New York is 25th. When you talk about school spending, which is a major driver of property taxes, since 1996, so a significant period of time, look at the last column. Public school enrollment has gone down 4%. Why? That's a matter of demographics, fewer school-age children. Spending has gone up 120%. Number of teachers has gone up about 10%. And number of supervisors has gone up 34%. 34%. The bureaucracy bloats the bureaucracy.
Yes.
The front office bloats the front office.
Yes.
If this was a private sector corporation we're looking at here, you would be looking at a private sector corporation where the management grew and the layers of management grew, and it outpaced the business of the corporation, and this would be a corporation that is either bankrupt or going out of business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what this would be. Because it's government, and there is no competition, and no one has been looking at the results, this has been allowed to happen year after year after year, and this year it has to stop, my friends. The property tax cap, we need something called mandate relief. Mandate relief is reducing the number of burdens the state imposes on local governments. John Kamen will talk to you about chapter and verse about this, and he's right. And we also need pension reform because the cost of public pensions is going through the roof. So it's not sustainable. Mandate relief, we have a mandate design team that's working on it to remove the unnecessary mandates. Pension reform, just look at these numbers. 1998, 1999, we spent $1.3 billion. It's going to $6 billion in 2013, 2014. We're going to need to change the pension system. I'm going to introduce a bill shortly that is going to reduce the pension benefits in the out years and stop a process called pension pay that I investigated as Attorney General and pay the pension in the out years going forward. Second, we have to clean up Albany, ethics reform. There's been a long line of disgraced politicians. I was very active in public integrity cases when I was Attorney General for 4 years, and I know better than anyone how bad it's been. Rather than just doing case after case, we need to now restore faith in the system. We have part-time legislators. That's in the Constitution, which means what? Which means they're part-time assemblymen, part-time senators, but they can have a business on the side. They can be a lawyer, they can be a businessman. Fine, that's the law. But the question is, who else do they represent as a lawyer? Are they representing any of these people before the state? And is there a conflict? Because we have seen conflict after conflict for many, many years. Disclose who you represent. How much do they pay you? And for what? People have a right to know. And if the legislature refuses to answer the question, then in my opinion, they just did by the refusal to answer. I propose ethics reform, and the position of the legislature is they don't need ethics reform because they have their own legislative ethics committee, and that they can police and monitor themselves. Since 2007, the Legislative Ethics Committee has never taken a real action. And since 2007, there has been a long line of assemblymen and senators indicted, found guilty, cases that I did, cases that other prosecutors did, and not a peep from the Legislative Ethics Committee. Self-policing, my friends, is an oxymoron. There is no such concept of self-policing. By definition, we need an independent monitor to review these conflicts, to restore faith so you know you have a government you can trust, and we need to take care of it. The stakes are too high not to use it this year. You speak up, we pass this agenda, this state is going to be on a new trajectory to reach a higher place than it's ever reached before. And we will make the Empire State once again. Thank you, and God bless.